The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth is the second of the Universes Beyond line from Magic the Gathering. With it comes 4 pre-constructed commander decks featuring some new cards from the set, as well as some reprints from throughout Magic's history. In this series, we will be going over some of the newer cards from each deck, what reprints are the most exciting, and lastly, we'll be discussing some choice picks to help make the deck more powerful. Riders of Rohan is a blue, red, and white commander deck led by Éowyn Shieldmaiden. The deck has 2 main strategies. The first is a human tribal subtheme. We will want to cast our humans and turn them sideways. The second strategy revolves around the Monarchy mechanic and introduces some new ways to obtain the Monarchy and cards that care about the Monarchy. Let's look at our commander options. Starting off is Éowyn, the cover commander. She is a 5/4 human knight for 5 mana with first strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if another humans entered the battlefield under your control this turn, you create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with both trample and haste. Then, if you control 6 or more humans, draw a card. This card has a lot of value tacked onto it aside from her bulk as a creature and first strike ability. Because she too is a human, she will trigger her own ability, giving you 2 additional human knights for a total of 9 power on the board just upon casting her. The alternate commander for this deck is Aragorn, King of Gondor. Aragorn is a 4/4 for 4 mana and is a human noble with vigilance and lifelink. When he enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Whenever he attacks, up to 1 target creature cannot block this turn. If you are the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. I actually prefer Aragorn as the main commander for this deck, largely for that second ability. Basically, it's a simple conditional with 2 modes. If you aren't the monarch, you can target up to 1 creature to not block this turn. If you are the monarch, no creatures can block this turn. This gives additional relevance to being the monarch as it'll help clear the way for an alpha strike. I really like this ability in these colors as we aren't on green to give us trample or craterhoof effects, and this is a rather clean means to the same end. Aragorn serves in some aspects as a win condition from the command zone, being able to enter the battlefield, make you monarch, and then swing for game when the opponents cannot block any of your creatures. So now that we've looked at our commander options, let's look at some of the better new cards for this deck. Archivist of Gondor is a 3 mana, 2/3 human advisor. Whenever your commander deals combat damage to a player, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. At the beginning of the monarch's end step, that player draws a card. This card gives the monarchy mechanic to decks that might not have access to it like we do with Aragorn. This also doubles the value of the monarchy, giving an extra card draw each turn for that monarch. I'm somewhat split on this card being in the Precon deck, as the first ability is irrelevant should we be on Aragorn as our commander, but in other decks this is definitely going to be very valuable. Boromir, Gondor's Hope, is a 3/4 for 4 mana. Whenever Boromir enters the battlefield or attacks, you can look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a human or an artifact card from among them and add to your hand. The rest get put on the bottom of your library in a random order. I think this card has some potential as a Brago-style Blink deck. 6 cards is very deep, and allowing you to get any human or artifact is also pretty powerful and flexible. If you're on a lot of creature-based or artifact-stacked pieces like Drannith Magistrate or Nullrod, this can be an alternate to card draw and get you the pieces you need. Gilraen, Dundane Protector, is a 2/3 human noble for 3 mana. You can pay 2 mana and tap her to exile another target creature you control. You may return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you don't, at the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a vigilance counter on it and a lifelink counter on it. This is pretty interesting. Blink effects are powerful and popular, and this one comes with the flexibility of offering you an immediate blink to one of your creatures or a delayed blink that comes with extra benefits. Gimli of the Glittering Caves is a 1/1 red dwarf for 3 mana with double strike. Whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Gimli. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. This has a few uses. This slots into Magda as a dwarf with relevant text, netting us quite a few treasures off its ability and Magda's. This is also a warrior, so Najeela decks will love having a treasure-producing warrior. Do note that it having double strike means should it connect directly with an opponent, you'll be producing 1 treasure for its first strike damage, and then 1 for its regular combat damage. Theoden, King of Rohan, is a 2/3 for 3 mana with an ability that reads, whenever Theoden or another human enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. It's a bit typical of Boros to be combat centric, but this is a very well costed commander option that will also double up on your damage. If you manage to get several humans entering the battlefield at once, this will trigger several times, making this good to get in some extra damage on your turns, or make a powerful double strikey blocker on your opponent's turn. So let's look at some of the better reprints included in the Precon deck. Combat Celebrant is a classic and aggressive deck, so it gives you the potential for additional combat phases. This does combo with some copy effects, so if you choose to add some in, this is a fantastic target, and you can begin chaining some combat steps for a victory. This is also the most expensive reprint in this Precon deck, having rocked a double-digit price tag prior to reprint. Selfless Squire is a fun combat trick, being able to shield you from all the combat damage coming your way. Should you be up against an army of orcs threatening to take you out with one fell arrow to the chest, you can simply flash this into play, and not only will you be protected, but it would also get +1/+1 counters on it equal to the damage you avoided. We also have both Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares in this deck. I often lament that white commander decks get either one or the other, if even that much, and that this is the first commander set that we've gotten both cards in the same deck, twice now. These two are some of the best single target white removal has to offer, and they both have amazing new artwork. We also got some tribal reprints worth their weight, including Door of Destinies, Herald's Horn, and Vanquisher's Banner. These three each offer benefits and advantage to playing our humans, and they're among several ways this deck can help buff our board. Lastly, Shared Animosity is a powerful Anthem-like effect, triggering whenever a creature you control attacks. This will buff all of our humans whenever we attack based on how many humans we have attacking. Visions of Glory is a 5-mana sorcery with flashback for 10 mana. You create a 1/1 white human creature token for each creature you control. This is a great means to build up an army quickly. If we have a good number of value creatures at our disposal, we can use this to create more attackers so that we don't have to put those non-token creatures at risk. We have a ton of Anthem effects in this deck, so these creatures can turn out to pack quite the punch. I dare one of you to attempt to recreate the Riders of Rohan in this deck. There are a number of ways to help improve the quality of this deck. My main suggestion is to try and lower the mana curve and get in some of the more lower mana spells. Dawn of the New Age is a fantastic card draw spell in white, and what's unique about this one is that it is self-sufficient card draw engine. Most card draw in white relies on your opponent either receiving cards from you drawing or having more cards than you to draw. This card only wants you to have creatures in play. Flowering of the White Tree offers our commander and other legendary creatures +2/+1 and Ward 1, and it gives our non-legendary creatures an Anthem effect. This is perhaps the best mono-white Anthem in the game and definitely should be included. Horn of Gondor is the perfect card for this deck, allowing you to double your human army for 6 mana. This would combo great with the Visions of Glory we mentioned earlier. There are also some valuable cards from throughout Magic's history that can be added in as well. Serra Ascendant can drop on turn 1 as a 6/6 with flying and lifelink for a single white mana. Imperial Recruiter is a powerful tutor that can help grab any creature with power 2 or less. Speaking of 2 or less, Esper Sentinel is a human that also offers absurd levels of card draw and is a staple in most white decks. Drum Bellower is an untap for all of your creatures each turn, letting you attack without worry about having an untapped creature left to block. Adeline Resplendent Cathar is a great include if you want to lean into the human theme, giving you a human for each opponent, attacking those opponents. Blade Historian gives your attacking creatures double strike, and it's flexible enough on its casting cost that you shouldn't have to worry about fixing for 4 mana. Unsettled Mariner is also technically a human, and it gives your creatures basically a Ward 1. Path of Bravery can be helpful if you need another Anthem effect, and it also can net you a huge swing in life. And the deck doesn't have to stop there. Should you be wanting to build this deck up to competitive levels, the colors do allow for some spicy win cons. The Dualcaster Mage Twin Flame combo is absolutely slottable in here, and given that Dualcaster Mage is a human, it also doubles its additional tribal support. You cast the Twin Flame on a creature, then hold priority. Flash in the Dualcaster Mage, whose ability will target Twin Flame. The copied Twin Flame will copy the Dualcaster Mage, and then the copied Dualcaster Mage will copy Twin Flame, and then you continue this back and forth until you have infinite, hasty 2/2 humans. We are also in red and blue, so Underworld Breach lines can go into combo with Brain Freeze, and if you so choose Thassa's Oracle. You would need some of the more pricier mana rocks for this, but it's definitely worth it if you want to build this deck up to 10. And since we're in white, we can also include all of the best stacks pieces like Grand Abolisher, Drannith Magistrate, who are both conveniently humans. This is just a small taste of what this deck can do, but for now, we are going to wrap up this look at the Riders of Rohan deck. I hope you enjoyed this video. What spicy spice are you including in this deck? Feel free to give your suggestions in the comments below, like and share this video with your friends, and subscribe if you're new here. And as always, thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you all next video.